Welcome back to the Boot Tragedies. We're back with the top 20 Saints players this upcoming season on the roster. Last video, we did 20 to 16. This video, we're going to do 15 through 11. Then obviously 10 through 6. And then we're going to do the top 5 players on the Saints team. But this video, like I said, going to be 5 guys that I think really are going to impact the team this year from that 16 to 11 range. But before we do that, we're going to jump back in to a recap of 20 through 16. And we had Cesar Ruiz, who made a new appearance into my list. You had Paulson Adebo, Kalen Saunders, Marcus May, and Andres Pete. Really 5 good guys for the Saints. But now, we're going to jump in right at number 15. We're going to go with a guy that also a new addition to the list, and that is Juwan Johnson. Now, Juwan Johnson was probably the only bright spot for the Saints last season. We had some guys play well in certain situations, but Juwan Johnson was for sure a bright spot, a consistent guy, even with the inconsistent quarterback play, inconsistent coaching, and things like that. Juwan Johnson was a really, really good, player for the Saints last season, finishing with 42 catches, 508 yards, and 7 touchdowns. That is really good from a tight end position. Now he has some competition coming in with Foster Moreau, a guy that has chemistry with Derek Carr. We'll see if that helps or hurt him in any way. But Juwan Johnson, man, he had a really, really good season last year. He comes in number 15 on the list. I think that's a good spot for him. I won't say he's any higher, any lower. If you look at any other list, they're probably going to have him between that 14 to 17, 18 range. He's a really good player for the Saints, one of the better players for the Saints. I see why like 3 years ago or 2 years ago they would call him Baby Megatron. Now, obviously, he'll never be that. But I can see the traits and things like that where he's just a big athletic freak. Still needs to get better in the blocking game. That's probably why he's not a number 1 tight end for the Saints. Even though he's the number 1 tight end for the Saints, I mean like a top 10 guy in the NFL, guy you can count on every down just because the blocking isn't up to par with the pass catching and the raw running and the spectacular catches and things like that. But Juwan Johnson, man, he comes in at number 15 on the list, and I think that's a solid position for him. Now, number 14, a guy that probably could have cracked the top 10 in my opinion if Dennis Allen didn't go Dennis Allen mode. This guy, Alontae Taylor. Now, let's give a little backstory. When they drafted Alontae Taylor, I wasn't happy with the pick. I was not happy with that pick. Not because of Alontae Taylor. I had no idea who Alontae Taylor was. But we drafted a cornerback when it was evident we really didn't need a cornerback at that time. But after Paulson Adebo gets hurt, Lattimore gets hurt, Dennis Allen, Mickey Loomis, they looked like geniuses drafting Alontae Taylor in that second round. Like I said, I was never mad at the player. Just I didn't think that position of need was right there in the second round. But obviously, we ended up needing him in the long run, so that was a good thing, from him and from the Saints right there. But Alontae Taylor came in, covered Hopkins, covered Devontae Adams, absolutely locked those guys down. And I'm not saying that, and they had 6 catches, 80 yards, and he did his thing. No, he really locked those guys down. When he came out there as a rookie, first couple games against some of the toughest matchups in the NFL, he held his own. He was locking Drake London down. The guy played an excellent, excellent rookie campaign, but Paulson Adebo got healthy. And when Paulson Adebo got healthy, Dennis Allen wanted to go back to Paulson Adebo. I would never understand that towards the end of the year last year, why Dennis Allen decided to go back to Paulson Adebo. When he was, obviously out there struggling, Alontae Taylor was playing great, before he went out. Paulson Adebo got back. Obviously, Lattimore got back. He's not taking Lattimore's spot. So they went with Adebo, and they went with Lattimore. And that's just what Dennis Allen did. But this year, he's already, took some snaps in a slot when they had mini camp and things like that, and he's still battling for that outside spot for cornerback too. So I do think he'll play no matter what this year. Even if Paulson Adebo somehow beats him at that cornerback 2 spot, which I don't think is going to happen, I think he'll be the starting nickel corner. In today's NFL, you're in nickel, probably 70% of the time anyway. So I think we'll definitely see Alontae Taylor a lot more on the field this year. Just has to stay healthy. That's a big thing with the Saints' entire team. I can just, from 20 to number 1, I can probably just say, if they stay healthy, they're going to be good. That's just kind of been our thing the last couple years. We just haven't been able to be healthy. But Alontae Taylor, man, he comes in at number 14 on this list. And like I said, he was playing so well in those first 4 games that he played. He could have cracked the top 10. That's honestly how well he was playing last season. Then we got another guy that probably could have cracked the top 10. He wasn't playing this much, and when he did play, he played great. And then the Saints just wouldn't use him. I just didn't understand what was going on last year. I think this year is not only the thing. I know this year is going to be very, very different. He's going to be very explosive for us. And coming in at number 13, no under than Rasheed Shaheed, man. Every week I was saying, feed Shaheed. After watching his tape from Weber State, I knew he was going to be an electric player for the Saints. He just had to get over that ACL injury. And when he came out there, he went absolutely crazy. Absolutely crazy for the Saints. Big play waiting to happen. Explosive player. All the things you want. All the things you want. But when he got out there, he'll make a good play. Saints won't use him. Next game, make a good play. Saints wouldn't use him. He ended up finishing the season still with 28 catches, 488 yards, 2 touchdowns. And they rarely used him. He missed half of the season because of injury. Not half of the season, but a chunk of the season because of injury. And we just used him sparingly. They have to use him much, much more this season. And I don't understand why we didn't use him. Michael Thomas was hurt. We just had Chris Olave running out there by himself for the most part. Did not understand why we wasn't using Rasheed Shaheed. Every time he was out there, something good happened, and then we just wouldn't use him. Also, he's this high on the list because the return game. The return game, what he brings to the return game, is going to be very, very helpful for the Saints, man. We've been kind of fell off the last couple years. The year Deontay Hardy had was a really good year for the Saints, and the last 2 years just wasn't the same. Wasn't hitting the same. Last year he had 20 punt returns for 193 yards. That's 9.7 yards to return. Longest was 42. And y'all, you know my saying on punt return. Get us a first down. Get us a first down. I want you to average 10 yards to punt return. 10 yards to punt return. You can average 10 yards to punt return. That's big. That's super big because, you averaging 10 yards, that's a first down. That's how I look at it. You help the offense out. Instead of starting at the 20, we start at the 30. Instead of starting at the 30, we start at the 40. Things like that. You get a free first down for the offense. You automatically are giving us space. So average 10 yards. 10 yards to return, we'll take that every time. But Rasheed, I think he's going to have a big year. I think he's going to have a big, big season this year. Obviously, going to be a true receiver, wide receiver 3 to start the season behind Michael Thomas and Chris Olave. I think he's going to have a lot of room to improve, a lot of room to grow. I wouldn't be shocked if he just blossoms this year and goes absolutely insane. But we'll see what happens. But he comes in number 13 on the list, man. One of my favorite players on the roster, Rasheed Shaheed. Number 12, a new addition to this team. Actually, I think everyone here is a new addition. When I look at it, everyone here is a new addition to the top 20 list on the Saints. Number 11, we'll see. But number 12 coming on the list, a guy that we need. We absolutely need, especially now. Especially now, man. It's Jamal Williams. We won't even beat around the bush. After the Alvin Kamara thing, he's probably going to get suspended after that case in Vegas. So, we need a running back. Last year when Alvin Kamara went out, boy, it was ugly. Boy, we had David Johnson back there. It was bad. Dwayne Washington was getting carries. It just wasn't it. It just Mark Ingram, it just wasn't it. Now, a whole entire new backfield with Alvin Kamara, Jamal Williams, Kendre Miller. Jamal Williams is going to be very, very important, especially those first couple games with Alvin Kamara suspended. I mean, last year he ran for 1,066 yards, had 17 touchdowns. Red zone back, short yardage back, that's Jamal Williams. Get the ball, get downhill, get us a yard, get us a first down. Having him and Taysom Hill, now you can change it up on the short yardage situations. You got either guy being able to, get these short yardage plays and things like that. He's going to be a big, big help for the Saints team. Just in short yardage, goal line, red zone type things, he's definitely going to help. Can catch it out the backfield a little bit. Didn't really show that in Detroit, but he can catch out the backfield a little bit. And then also, with Alvin Kamara being out, we're going to need him. We're going to need him, especially early in the season. Like I've been saying, you got a new quarterback, a new system to allow them moving pieces. Sometimes you got to just get a ball to the running back and say, hey, give me 4 yards to carry real quick. And he can do that. He can definitely do that. Kendre Miller, who's going to have a chance to show up, I guess, the first couple games of the season, depending on when Alvin Kamara gets suspended. So it's going to be good. Good thing we signed Jamal Williams. So just a little recap real quick. Juwan Johnson has a new, cracked the top 15. Alontae Taylor, obviously, he's new. Rasheed Shaheed, obviously, he's new. And now Jamal Williams. All those guys are new to this top list. None of those guys made it. I mean, only Juwan Johnson really had a chance to make it last season, but he didn't make that list. He wasn't as explosive, as good as he is now. And then, number 11, this one was tough. I wanted to put this guy at 10, but somebody ended up beating him out. You'll see who beat him out when we get to the top 10 list a little later. But number 10 on the list, man, New Orleans native owned, the Honey Badger, LSU legend, one of the best players I've ever seen in college football, Tyrann Mathieu. Now, some people might have him too low, too high, right? Some of y'all might agree that he's right where he needs to be. Tyrann Mathieu, first half of the season, dog shit. Awful. Let's just be honest. I love Tyrann Mathieu as a player. First half of the season, that wasn't it. Missing tackles, missing assignments, people beating him. It just was ugly. I think I even said he came here to retire. That's how bad he was playing. And I'm just going to tell the truth. But, as me telling the truth, the second half of the season, oh man, he was the top 5 player on this team. He was the top 5 player on this team. That's how good he was the second half of the season. Now, if he can continue that second half of the season and do that for a full season, he might crack the top 5. Like, he was that good, towards the end of the season, making tackles, making plays, interceptions, just causing havoc, being in the right spots. That's the guy that we knew. That's the guy that we wanted. I think maybe, hey, I had my expectations were too high coming in, to a defense that's really, really good. Defensive Dennis Allen. As much as you think about him as a head coach, that defense, he got that on the wraps. He does do his defensive thing. And I think Tyrann Mathieu, I just came with a little too high expectations with Dennis Allen being a great defensive coordinator, Tyrann Mathieu being a great football player. They was going to just mess day one with no, bumps in the road. They were going to come out the gates firing, and that just didn't happen. But towards the end of the season, he got more comfortable in the system. He just got more comfortable on the team. He's back home. I get it. You got outside things, probably distracting you and stuff like that because you're back in the world. You're back, and where all your family is for the most part. So obviously that kind of tuned down the second half of the season, and he had a really, really good second half of the season, and he was an excellent player for us. Excellent. So those are my top 5 right there, man. We can go from 20 to 11 right quick. Cesar Ruiz at number 20, Paulson Adebo, Kalen Saunders. We had Marcus May, Andres Pete. Then at number 15, we had Juwan Johnson. 14, Alontae Taylor. 13, Rasheed Shaheed. 12, Jamal Williams. And 11, Tyrann Mathieu. Now, like I say, biggest upside and downside in these. I can say biggest upside. We'll go biggest downside. Some guy that can maybe fall outside the top 20 with this season play. This one's tough, but it's a lot of guys here that can swing either way, in my opinion. I think Juwan Johnson's gonna be solid. I think Rasheed Shaheed's gonna be solid. Jamal's gonna be solid. I think Alontae's probably the one. I think he can probably swing outside the top 20, and I'm not even gonna say it's gonna be because of him. It could just be Dennis Allen not playing him, and then obviously if you're not playing, you can't be. Would I have him? 14 best. I mean, not the 14. Yeah, the 14 best player. You just can't be that if you're not on the field. So I think that's the guy that can swing the most. And like a guy that could join the top 5. Could be Alontae Taylor as well, but the guy I'm going to go with, Rasheed Shaheed, man. I think it's literally, he's that good. He has that much talent, that much ability, that he can possibly be a top 5 player on the Saints roster. Now, obviously, he's not going to be the 5th best player, but he can perform the 5th best. I can see that. I can definitely see that happening. So, man, I think he got the biggest boom potential. The biggest boom potential on this list so far, Rasheed Shaheed. But let me know what y'all think about this list, man. That's the next 5. The top 10 is coming soon. The next day, I'll have the top 10 out. If you're watching this a little later, then it's probably already out. But 10 through 5, 10 through 6. 10 through 6 will be out very, very soon, very, very shortly. And I'm excited. I'm excited to see what y'all think about that top 10. It might get a little crazy when we get to the top 5. I might have a guy at number 1 that's never been number 1 before. We'll see when we get there. But, man, thank y'all for tuning in once again. As always, this is the Boo Tragedies. And I'm out.